Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Chad Neighbors. He is the CEO and also a certified senior advisor for senior helpers. We'll meet him and learn what that is when we come back, so stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Chad Neighbors. He is the CEO and certified senior advisor for senior helpers. It's his first time on the show. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sean.
Let's tell everybody what Senior Helpers is.
Well, Senior Helpers is a national organization. We specialize in providing in-home care, and our main focus is to keep aging adults independent and safe in a home environment.
And that's like sort of a trend now to for those that need the help, but also just really want to try to have as much independent living as possible in their later years in life, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so how was it decided way back when something like this was necessary or started to become more popular where, you know what, let's do this?
Well, like I said, Senior Helpers is a national organization. We've been doing this for over 10 years. We've become a leader throughout the United States, and we have offices throughout the U.S. Serving both metropolitan, suburban, and urban areas, or rural areas rather. So if you wanted to find an office near you, you could go to our website, type in your zip code for the locator, and find the Senior Helpers that was near you.
Yeah, your office is in Rhode Island, correct?
We're located in Warwick, Rhode Island, right off Route 2. It's kind of centrally located, and we provide service to all of Rhode Island. It's not always the easy thing to do.
Right. Well, Rhode Island is a small state, though, so you would assume that it would actually be easy, no?
Well, there's some rural areas that
Okay.
are a little bit more difficult to
That's
service,
a good point.
but because of our efforts in recruiting and staff management, we're able to provide service to pretty much anywhere in the state.
Now, when you say recruiting and your staff, what does it consist of? What kind of services do you provide specifically?
Well, it's a variety of services. It really depends on needs. It can be basic companionship, where we would come in, offer some engagement, try to get someone a little bit more active like they used to be. But the common things are meal preparation, light housekeeping, some laundry, linens, errands and transportation. We can go out to the grocery store, go shopping with the individual, shopping for the individual. A lot of times we're able to get them back into their local barbershop where they maybe stopped going, or get them back into the local beauty salon, even out to have a cup of chowder with their buddies at the local tavern a few days a week. Medication reminders are always a big item on our list. A lot of times we have sons and daughters that recognize that, hey, mom or dad hasn't been taking their meds like they should be or like they used to, so we'd just like to have someone stop in, make sure that's taken care of, prepare a hot meal, spend some time with them, and any other thing that would be important to the family. You know, I mentioned the laundry. In New England, most of the laundry facilities are down in the basement.
Right.
Typically, it's a steep set of stairs.
Yes, rickety old stairs.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
it's dark and dingy down there.
That becomes a fall risk.
Yeah.
If dementia sets in or becomes an issue, leaving on the stove. If they're cooking, it can become an issue as well. So all of those things are factors, and we look at each individual, each person individually, to come up with a plan that would be appropriate to them. Now, there's an advanced level of services for someone of higher needs, and we would have a certified assistant going in to assist with that, and that would be your personal care task.
Does that mean more medical involvement?
Well, not necessarily medical, but the personal care, bathing, dressing, personal hygiene, the shaving, the oral hygiene, combing the hair. Some people need assistance moving from the bed to a wheelchair to the toilet. Anyone with incontinence needs, our aides would assist with that as well.
Right. I want to go back to something that you mentioned about little things like being able to take them to the barber shop or the beauty shop, or maybe go down to their their local diner so that they can have that cup of chowder. It really is about, you know, the ability to have a decent standard quality of life, to try to live as normal a life as possible. And if you can't do that on your own, just a little bit of help from somebody, like for example, senior helpers, it just makes a world of difference.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah, and the thing about it is those little things, and like you said, maybe the ability to just take care of a few little light things around the house, you know, the positive mood that you can imagine that it puts you know, a person who may be homebound. Now, are most people homebound when they need this? Can they? In certain cases, they would need transportation, like you said. But are they homebound?
In a lot of cases, they are.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times we'll get the call from a son or daughter that has recognized a change in needs. And often we have family members, son, daughter, husband, wife, grandchildren, nieces and nephews that they step in and they provide the care like most families would.
Right.
And then
this is exactly where I was going with this.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and over a period of time, what they realize is that, hey, this is starting to become a burden on me.
Yes.
And they recognize that the benefit of having someone come in on a regular, consistent basis would really benefit their mom or dad.
Right, and this is so therefore, a service like this is needed and is welcomed by the family members and by the, you know, the individual in the house themselves. Is it a reality that, you know, people start out caring for the family member themselves, but maybe because of work, or is it a reality that in this day and age with their careers, they simply cannot do all that, help out the family member themselves, and that's where you come in?
I would say every situation is a little bit different.
Of course.
And the involvement and the help that a family member may give could be different from one situation to the next, but all those are factors, all those things that you mentioned. I have my own family. I have kids that are in college, or I have kids that are in school, and they have school extracurricular activities that I have to manage and help them maintain. I have my own career that I have to maintain to support myself and my family. And meanwhile, I find myself, you know, making those trips to the grocery store, coming in to make sure mom or dad took their meds, coming over to do the laundry, and over time it starts to be a burden.
Right.
And
it affects their life too.
Well, we do, and what we find is that, you know, a lot of the family members, they start to feel guilty about not being able to do that.
That's a good point.
So, you know, by us coming in, we're able to, you know, relieve that stress, you know, relieve the guilt, know that mom or dad's getting the extra assistance, and that they can continue to take care of their own selves. And then when they do visit their mom or dad, it's more of a quality visit.
Right.
I'm not there providing care. I'm actually spending quality time.
Right. They're not doing laundry. You can take them out, you know, for a ride, or just talk with them, or just, yeah, like you said, quality time with them, and not doing, you know, tough tasks that just need to get done, housework or whatever.
Absolutely.
You know? Now, do the people that you care for, do they, especially when you're talking about maybe, for example, strictly companionship, do they become attached to staff from senior helpers? Do they really, obviously they enjoy the visits, but do your people really sort of get emotionally involved, or do you try to sort of keep somewhat of a professional distance?
Well, we certainly want to keep the professionalism,
right.
But I think it's human nature
right.
that if I go to visit you, I mean, even just the short amount of time that you and I spent together,
right.
there's already a bond starting to be created.
Exactly.
So if we were to see each other 2 or 3 times a week
sure.
For several weeks in a row, ultimately we're going to create a bond or a friendship.
Absolutely.
And it may be a love-hate relationship.
Does that happen sometimes?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it does.
People are people, like you said.
People are people, exactly.
Not everybody has that same kind of chemistry with each other.
But for sure, there are tight bonds and tight relationships that are developed. And that really becomes a part of our, the way we schedule, the way we make assignments, is we look at specific characteristics within the personality of the client, and we try to make a personality match.
Oh.
First and foremost, we always go for skill set.
Right.
We identify the needs, and then we try to identify the appropriate skill set of the caregiver. We look at their availability, their proximity to the client, and then ultimately, do we think it's going to be a good personality match?
Right.
Typically, we'll know within a few visits. If it is, normally we're good to go, and if not, then we can make a change that we think would be more appropriate.
You know, I was going to ask you what kind of special training your staff needs or has but I guess it depends on the person that you're giving the care to, depending on what needs they have or require, right?
Well, in Rhode Island, we are a licensed home care provider. We're also accredited agency. We're accredited by CHAP, which is a major accrediting agency for home care. And within those regulations, we're mandated to do, we're mandated to follow certain processes with our intake, with our development of plans of care, caregiver supervision, caregiver management. And so all of our caregivers, all of our staff, if they do not come to us with a certification, we actually provide a certification program in-house.
It's for them to get. So
yes,
that they...
and they all become certified homemakers. It's a 25-hour program. I think it's 20 hours of classroom and 5 hours of on-site work that they do. And with that, they learn basic things from, we may assume that they know how to make a bed properly, or that they know how to prepare a meal, store leftovers. But with us, we have our own established criteria of how we want it done. And for a lot of people, maybe it's just a reminder, but for some individuals, we find it quite educational as well.
What happens if during the caregiving an emergency situation arises? Obviously, the staff is trained, but what are the usual procedures that occur in that case? Someone might be interested in Senior Helpers and they're wondering about that particular situation.
Well, in an emergency or crisis situation with a family,
or no, or with the person that you're giving care to, for example. Obviously, you call somebody, 911 or something right away.
Certainly, yeah. Our protocol is, first of all, you call 911. You call 911, you call the office, you call the family. If there's an emergency situation, the operators from the emergency response they're going to give you directions on what to do, and often we'll wait for paramedics to arrive. Sometimes we will follow the ambulance to the hospital, or the family may arrive and we can send the caregiver home, but we have protocol for those emergency situations.
Since you had brought up family, is there ever situations involving the family where there's some sort of emergency situation that occurs, or a situation that you have to deal with?
Well, there are always crisis situations.
Yeah.
And we talk about the normal family, right. And we talk about the normal.
The normal family isn't always that normal.
Well, if we talk about the normal American family, we can say that pretty much everyone's dysfunctional in some way.
That's so true.
It is so true.
Yeah.
So for us to think otherwise is unrealistic.
Go ahead.
Well, anyway, so we deal with a lot of family dynamics. We have family members that don't see eye to eye. They don't agree on the level of care or the need.
You're caught in the middle,
Well, we are, and that's why we have the appropriately trained staff. We have an RN, a registered nurse, who serves in the role as our director of nursing. She's been working with us for over 4 years now, and she ultimately is the one that will make the clinical decisions on are the needs being met. And that's really our foremost concern when providing care. And we also have a registered nurse that works for us full-time, and she serves in the role of a client service manager. And she's really looking at the social dynamics.
Right, which is important.
It's
Absolutely.
very important.
Yeah.
It's really key to everything that we do.
It's funny how, in certain cases, maybe the family is a more difficult situation to deal with than the person you might be giving care to, just because of chemistry or lack thereof, or social situations that are just uncomfortable. So,
well, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. We're going to take a break and come back. Do you have a website for people to go and learn more about Senior Helpers?
Yes, Sean, we do. It's www.seniorhelpers.com. And if you want our local office, it's seniorhelpers.com/Rhode Island.
All right. Chad Neighbors is a CEO and certified senior advisor for Senior Helpers. We'll take a break and come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Chad Neighbors, CEO and certified senior advisor for Senior Helpers. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we're learning a lot about what they do at Senior Helpers, some of the services they provide those who are in need in that respect. a service like yours, maybe somebody watching the show might ask, well, how is it paid for? What are the methods and what sorts of, I don't know, insurance involved at all? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's a very good question, Sean. One of the most common questions that we get from people inquiring about our services: does Medicare pay for our services? Unfortunately, Medicare does not. Medicare pays for acute medical care, and our primary services are long-term care that primarily is custodial. Primary methods of payment for us is private pay. We accept long-term care insurance, and some people may look into, if they had a retirement plan of some sort, life insurance may have a rider of long-term care on top of it, along with maybe a disability policy. They could look into it, contact their local insurance agent to find out if there is a long-term care rider on any of their policies. In Rhode Island, we actually accept Medicaid. We're a certified Medicaid provider. And if someone has questions about whether they qualify for Medicaid, they're welcome to call our office, 401-825-7200, and we could direct them to one of the local community action groups that would assign a social worker to go out to help them determine if they're qualified for Medicaid services.
So you would encourage people, if possible, to get long-term care insurance, and if anyone was wondering why that type of insurance would be necessary, this is a reason, right?
This is certainly a reason, yeah. I don't think it's anything that any of us really want to plan for.
Right.
We don't want to think about getting old.
Well, you don't want to plan for your funeral either, but a lot of people do it, and they're discovering that it's necessary. What exactly is long-term care insurance?
Well, long-term care insurance is exactly what it says. It's insurance that would cover long-term care, and that could include home care, that could include a stay in an assisted living facility, or a nursing home.
Right, and in your case, you do, I mean, that would be the way to go for somebody. If you're thinking about it, do it now. Get the long-term care insurance if you can afford it, and beneficial should a time of need arise for a family member or yourself later on down the road. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is the Alzheimer's quiz, Senior Gems. What is that?
Well, the Alzheimer's quiz is a quiz that our corporate office came up with, and really, I guess our main focus was to create awareness, to put out there a quiz to Americans to find out what we know and what we don't know about Alzheimer's disease. And some basic questions are determination, the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia.
Two big buzzwords that are used a lot with people aging and just in the medical field in general, I would say.
That's correct, yes. And dementia is an umbrella that falls over a group of diseases that affect the mind, Alzheimer's being one of them, one that's commonly known and talked about. So is Parkinson's or Lewy bodies or vascular dementia. But there are actually over 70 types of specific dementias.
Wow.
Yes. So with the program, the GEMS program, we partnered with an occupational therapist by the name of Teepa Snow. She has over 30 years of experience working with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. And Teepa developed the GEMS program. And with GEMS, she used the GEMS because like seniors with some type of dementia, they all have the ability to shine and be brilliant and be special, as would a gem. But also like a gem, they need the proper setting and they need to be cared for properly in order to shine.
Yeah.
So the gems, there's 6 gems, and each one is used to identify the stages of Alzheimer's and its progression.
What percentage would you say, as far as you giving care to, would be fall into that category? Let's say of dementia in general, because it's so all-encompassing. Maybe if you just want to stick to Alzheimer's, you can, but dementia is so much more all-encompassing as far as the amount of diseases that it sort of umbrellas over.
I don't know the exact number, Sean. I know that our caseload is well over 100 clients in Rhode Island, and a good majority of them suffer from some form of dementia. What we do know, and I think it's actually a question on the quiz, is at the age of 85, 50%
Is that right?
of
Yeah.
people suffer from some form of dementia.
Yeah. When you mentioned caseload, how are you able to still accept new people, or is there a waiting list?
No, on
No?
a regular basis.
Okay.
Yeah. I mentioned before about recruiting. We've always put a lot of effort into recruitment, training, and caregiver management. That's really what we do. We want to qualify, we want to find the individuals with experience, with the proper skills, and that need to really care for someone.
Right.
So, to answer your question, we staff on a regular basis.
Really depending on the needs, right?
Well, yeah, and it's very typical that we get a call, crisis situations. You know, mom fell, she went to the emergency room, now she's back home, we don't know what to do. So we're able to typically staff that within a few hours, if not sooner, of the phone call. We've really simplified our intake process. We know that, you know, we have these crisis situations. So in those situations, we're able to get caregivers out right away. We'll get phone calls from social workers, from discharge planners in hospitals, letting us know that someone's being discharged maybe later in the day or the following morning, and they're going to need care. Fortunately, we have a large pool of caregivers, and even if it's 24/7 coverage, we're able to staff it without any difficulties.
You know, if someone's watching the show and they have questions as far as, well, they'll ask about the, you know, how it's paid for. That's always going to be a big question. What specifically the services are that you provide. What other questions that you get on a regular basis from people inquiring about your services?
I guess a lot of the questions are how much is it going to cost?
Right.
And, well, when can you start?
Right.
What kind of caregiver am I going to get?
Now, when can you start? I mean, that's not an easy question to answer, because you, like you said, you have to do a personality match, and you really have to investigate and try to match your caregiver with their needs very specifically. So it might not be immediately that you can go in, correct?
Well, as I said before, every situation is different. So
Right.
if there's a crisis situation and we can identify over the phone that specific needs and skills are needed, then we'll staff the case right away. We have our nurse that's available. We're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is holidays, yeah. This is a non-stop business. When the needs arise, we have to be there.
I would imagine that around the holidays, that the companionship service that you offer really comes in handy, and probably is needed by some of your the people that utilize your services too, especially if the family member's away or out of town or just can't be there.
Vacations, holidays, we do a lot of respite care. Maybe the family will call us up and they're not looking for any long-term obligations, and we don't obligate anyone to anything long-term. If they need a one-time ride to a specific event or hospital or something like that, we can arrange those types of things. But often we'll get the calls where, you know, they want to go out to the Cape for the week, and they want someone either go with them or stay at home with mom or dad while the family's on vacation. Same thing around the holidays. Maybe they just want a little bit of extra help around the holidays. If there's someone in the family that's passed away, often there'll be a need for some additional assistance during the funeral and during the days of services.
So what's the day-to-day role of the CEO of Senior Helpers?
Really, the day-to-day role for me is making sure that we have all the resources in place. We have an internal staff of about 9 people that have been with us for a number of years, and my role was to make sure that we have the right people, and that they have the right tools, and they're properly trained and educated.
Yeah, that's really important too. Give people the information again to learn more about you and be able to get a hold of your website, phone number, all that.
Yes, the website is www.seniorhelpers.com/Rhode Island, and our local phone number is 401-825-7200.
And for those watching in Connecticut, you can probably steer them to the right location or people so that they can be able to utilize the services, correct?
That's correct. And you know, Sean, we get a variety of phone calls. we don't have all the answers, but we've been doing this long enough that if you give us a call, we can certainly lead you in the right direction to find the right resources.
Absolutely. Chad Neighbors, CEO and also certified senior advisor for senior helpers. Pleasure having you on the show today. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Sean.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. We will see you next time. Take care.